Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the New Horizon, watching the stars through the main screen. His ship looked old and beaten up on purpose. The walls had scratches and dents that his crew had carefully painted on. The computers made slow beeping sounds to seem outdated. Everything was designed to make other species think humans were still new to space travel. "Captain, we're getting a distress signal," said Lieutenant Tom Baker from his station. "It's coming from Federation. Science Station Omega 7. Jake walked over to look at the message. The text was in the common galactic language, which all humans had learned decades ago but pretended to still struggle with. "Help us," the message said. "Pirates are attacking our station. We have 300 scientists trapped here. Please, anyone who gets this message, send help right away." Dr. Lisa Grant looked up from her science station. She was the ship's expert on alien species, though she knew far more than she let anyone believe. "Captain, that station is only 2 light years away. We could be there in 6 hours. "But, sir," said Engineer Pete Collins, playing his part perfectly, "our weapons are pretty basic. If there are pirates with military ships, we might not be much. Help." Jake nodded slowly, as if thinking hard about a difficult decision. In reality, the New Horizon could destroy an entire pirate fleet in minutes. Hidden beneath its fake old hull were weapons more powerful than anything the Federation had ever seen. But the galaxy couldn't know that. Not yet. "We have to try," Jake said finally. "Set course for the station, and send a message to Federation Command. Tell them we're responding to the distress call." As the ship jumped to faster-than-light speed, Jake thought about the last 50 years. When humans first met the Galactic Federation, they quickly realized something important. Every other species in the galaxy was much weaker than humans. Their technology was thousands of years behind what Earth had already developed. Their ships were slow and clumsy. Their weapons barely worked. But instead of revealing this, Earth's leaders made a smart choice. They decided to pretend to be primitive. They built fake ships that looked advanced to alien eyes, but were actually much simpler than what humans really used. They sent explorers who acted amazed by basic alien technology. They made the galaxy believe that humans were just another young species learning to travel among the stars. The plan worked perfectly. Other species treated humans as cute newcomers who needed protection and guidance. Meanwhile, humanity secretly built the most powerful space fleet in galactic history. They developed weapons that could destroy planets and shields that could stop any attack, all hidden from alien eyes. "Captain, we're approaching the station," Tom reported. "I can see 3 pirate ships attacking it." On the main screen, Jake could see the battle. The Federation Science Station was a large white structure spinning slowly in space. 3 dark ships were firing red laser beams at it. The station's shields were failing, flickering like a dying light bulb. "Those are Corvan pirates," Lisa said, checking her computer. "Their ships have heavy armor and plasma cannons. Our standard. Weapons won't do much damage." Jake smiled inside. Corvan pirate ships were actually quite weak compared to human technology, but he had to make this look difficult. "Tom, take us in slowly," Jake ordered. "Pete, charge up our laser cannons. Lisa, scan those ships and tell me their weak points." The New Horizon moved toward the battle like an old dog walking to a fight. Its engines made loud grinding noises that were completely fake. On the pirate ships, Jake was sure they were laughing at the primitive human vessel coming to help. "They're hailing us, Captain," Tom said. "Put them on screen." The image showed a Corvan pirate captain. Corvans looked like giant lizards with sharp teeth and glowing yellow eyes. This one was wearing a black uniform covered in metal spikes. Human ship. the pirate said in broken galactic language. "Turn around now, or we will destroy you. This is not your fight." Jake stood up and tried to look brave but worried. "This is Captain Morrison of the Earthship New Horizon. We're here to help the science station. Leave now, or we'll have to stop you." The pirate captain threw back his head and laughed. "Your little ship thinks it can fight us? We have destroyed Federation warships twice your size. Go home, human children, before you get hurt." "We're not leaving," Jake said firmly. The pirate captain's eyes glowed brighter with anger. "Then you will die with the rest of them. Attack the human ship." The three pirate ships turned toward the New Horizon. Their plasma cannons glowed green as they prepared to fire. "Shields up," Jake ordered. "Return fire when ready." The first volley of pirate weapons hit the New Horizon's shields. Jake had to hold on to his chair as the ship shook violently. The lights flickered and sparks flew from some control panels. It looked like the ship was badly damaged, but actually the shields had absorbed the attack easily. The shaking and sparks were all for show. "Shield strength down to 80%, Pete reported, reading from a screen that was showing fake numbers. "Fire all weapons," Jake commanded. The New Horizon's laser cannons shot blue beams at the nearest pirate ship. Jake had ordered his crew to use only their weakest weapons, the ones that would seem normal to alien observers. Even so, the beams cut through the pirate ship's shields and armor like a hot knife through butter. "Direct hit," Tom announced. "Their ship is losing power." The damaged pirate ship spun out of control, smoke pouring from its engines. The other two pirates looked surprised that the human ship had actually hurt their ally. "Lucky shot," one of them said over the radio. "But you won't get another chance." Both remaining pirates attacked together. This time, Jake let their weapons damage some of the New Horizon's outer hull. Nothing important was hit, but it looked good for anyone watching. "Hull breach on Deck 7, Lisa reported. "Emergency teams are sealing it now." Jake gritted his teeth as if this was a real crisis. "Keep firing. We have to protect that station." For the next 20 minutes, the battle continued. Jake carefully made it look like a hard fight between equal forces. His ship took damage that looked serious but wasn't. The pirates slowly lost power and weapons. Finally, all three enemy ships were floating dead in space. "This is Science Station Omega-7, came a grateful voice over the radio. "Thank you, New Horizon. You saved all our lives." "Just doing our job," Jake replied. "Are you all okay over there?" "Yes. Thanks to your brave action. We'll make sure Federation Command knows what you did here today." As the New Horizon limped away from the battle, looking wounded but victorious, Jake felt the familiar weight of his secret. The galaxy would hear about this fight and think humans were getting better at space combat. They would never guess that. This old-looking ship could have destroyed all three pirates in 30 seconds if Jake had wanted. But that was the plan. Let the galaxy think humans were brave but weak. Let them believe Earth was still learning. Meanwhile, humanity would keep growing stronger in secret, protecting everyone from threats they couldn't even imagine yet. Admiral Kate Sullivan walked through the corridors of Luna Base, hidden deep inside Earth's moon. The base was enormous, stretching for miles in every direction. Thousands of people worked here, building and maintaining humanity's secret space fleet. Through the clear walls, she could see the construction bays where new ships were being built every day. Kate stopped at a window overlooking the main hangar. Below her, 50 warships sat ready for action. Each one was more powerful than anything the Federation had ever dreamed of. Their hulls were made from materials that could stop any known weapon. Their engines could cross the galaxy in days instead of months. and their weapons could destroy entire star systems if needed. "Admiral," said Commander Ryan Hayes, walking up behind her, "the Silent Thunder is ready for its patrol mission." Kate turned to face him. Ryan commanded one of humanity's most advanced ships, a stealth vessel that could spy on alien worlds without being detected. The Silent Thunder could become completely invisible and listen to any conversation from thousands of miles away. "Good," Kate said. "What's the situation with the Federation Council meeting?" "Ambassador Zexhai from the Altarian Republic is still planning to visit Earth next week," Ryan reported. "He wants to see our primitive cities and talk about helping humans develop better technology." Kate sighed. The Altarians were one of the Federation's most advanced species, which meant they were still centuries behind human technology. But they thought they were helping by offering to share their knowledge with the young human race. "We'll need to prepare the usual show," Kate said. "Make sure all our real cities are hidden. Only let him see the fake settlements we built for visitors." The fake settlements were one of humanity's biggest secrets. When aliens visited Earth, they saw small towns with simple buildings and old-style vehicles. They had no idea that underground, massive cities housed billions of humans in comfort and luxury. The real Earth had solved problems like hunger, disease, and energy shortages hundreds of years ago. "There's something else, Admiral," Ryan said, his voice more serious. "Our intelligence reports suggest some Federation species are starting to ask questions about us." Kate felt a chill run down her spine. "What kind of questions?" "They're wondering how humans keep being in the right place at the right time. How we always seem to find solutions to problems that other species can't solve. Some of them think we're getting too lucky too often." This was Kate's biggest fear. For 50 years, humanity had secretly protected the galaxy. When pirates attacked trade routes, human ships mysteriously appeared to drive them away. When plague threatened a planet, human doctors just happened to discover cures. When wars started between alien species, human diplomats somehow always found ways to make peace. Each time, humans made it look like luck or coincidence, but some aliens were smart enough to notice patterns. "Which species are asking questions?" Kate asked. "The Vorthan Intelligence Service has opened a file on human activities," Ryan said. "They've assigned Agent Veldtar to investigate us, and the Crystalline Collective is running computer models to calculate the probability of all our lucky breaks." Kate cursed under her breath. The Vorthons were known for their detective skills, and the Crystallines had the most advanced computers in Federation space outside of Earth. "We need to be more careful," she said. "Tell all our ship captains to make their interventions look more random, and increase the time between our helpful appearances." Meanwhile, on Earth's surface, engineer Pete Collins was having his own problems. He worked at the fake technology center that aliens were allowed to visit. His job was to show them Earth's most advanced research while hiding anything that looked too sophisticated. Pete was in his lab when the emergency alert came through his hidden communicator. "Code yellow," the voice said. "Inspection incoming in 15 minutes. Pete looked around his lab in panic. On one table sat a device he had been working on that could bend space and time. On another was a computer that could think faster than any alien brain. Both had to disappear before the visitors arrived. He quickly moved the space-bending device into a hidden compartment in the wall. The computer went into a secret drawer under his desk. In their place, he put out simple tools and basic electronics that would look advanced to alien eyes, but were actually centuries old by human standards. "Pete!" called his assistant Amy Foster from the next room. "The Altarian delegation is here early." Pete cursed and quickly checked his lab one more time. Everything dangerous was hidden. The room now looked like a place where primitive humans might struggle to understand basic physics. The door opened, and Ambassador HFY walked in. Altarians looked like tall, thin humans with blue skin and large eyes. They were actually quite intelligent by galactic standards, which made them more dangerous to fool. "Ah, Engineer Collins," HFY said in perfect English. "I am eager to see what your people have accomplished since our last visit." Pete put on his best confused expression. "Well, Ambassador, we're still trying to figure out some of the technology you shared with us last time. This thing called a quantum processor is really hard to understand." He pointed to a device on his workbench that was actually a simple calculator with extra lights attached to make it look complex. HFY nodded sympathetically. "Quantum mechanics is indeed challenging for developing species. Perhaps I can explain it more simply. For the next hour, the Altarian ambassador tried to teach Pete basic concepts that human children learned in elementary school. Pete had to pretend to be amazed by ideas that Earth had mastered centuries ago. He asked simple questions and acted grateful for the aliens' help. "This is incredible," Pete said, looking at a basic energy equation. "So you're saying matter and energy are the same thing? That's amazing. Our scientists will be so excited to learn this." HFY beamed with pride. "Your species shows such promise. With proper guidance, humans might achieve interstellar flight within the next 500 years. Pete nodded eagerly, knowing that human ships were already traveling between galaxies. "We can only hope to be as advanced as your people someday." After the ambassador left, Pete slumped in his chair. Pretending to be ignorant was exhausting, especially when he wanted to show off the incredible things humanity had really achieved. Dr. Amy Foster came into his lab looking worried. "Pete, we have a problem. I was monitoring their conversation after they left. The ambassador mentioned something strange to his aide." "What did he say?" "He said human progress seemed faster than expected. He wondered if we might be hiding some of our advances to avoid seeming threatening to other species." Pete felt his blood turn cold. If the aliens started thinking humans were hiding technology instead of being primitive, they might investigate more closely. And if they investigated, they would eventually discover the truth. "What do we do?" Pete asked. "I don't know," Amy said. "But we need to tell Admiral Sullivan right away. If the Altarians are getting suspicious, other species might be too." That night, Kate received reports from around the galaxy. On 6 different worlds, alien scientists had asked questions about human capabilities. 3 Federation intelligence services had opened files on Earth, and 2 species had requested permission to study human technology more closely. The masquerade that had protected the galaxy for 50 years was starting to crack. Kate stared out at the secret fleet surrounding Luna Base and wondered how much longer they could keep pretending to be weak. In the darkness of space, the silent thunder moved invisible among Federation ships, listening to their conversations. Commander Ryan Hayes heard alien officers talking about the mysterious humans who always seemed to appear when help was needed most. "It's like they have some kind of early warning system," one alien captain said to another. "How do they always know where to be?" "Maybe they're not as primitive as they pretend," came the reply. Ryan switched off the communication and set course for Earth. Admiral Sullivan needed to know that their greatest secret was in danger of being exposed. The question was, what would humanity do if the galaxy learned the truth? Agent Veltar sat in her office on the Vorton homeworld, staring at files spread across her desk. Each file contained reports about human activities over the past 50 years. The more she read, the more convinced she became that something was very wrong. Veltar looked like most Vorthons, tall and thin with gray skin and 4 arms. Her species was known throughout the galaxy for their detective skills. When something strange happened, other species called the Vorthons to investigate. Now Veltar was investigating the strangest case of her career. "Computer, show me the probability analysis," she said. A holographic chart appeared above her desk. It showed the chances of humans being in the right place at the right time for every helpful intervention over the past 50 years. According to mathematical models, the computer said in a mechanical voice, the probability of humans randomly appearing at 847 crisis situations is less than 1 in 10 trillion. Veltar nodded grimly. She had suspected as much. Either humans were the luckiest species in galactic history, or they were deliberately positioning themselves to help others. And if they were doing it on purpose, that meant they had capabilities far beyond what they claimed. "Show me the pattern analysis of human technological development," she ordered. Another chart appeared. This one tracked how quickly human technology had supposedly advanced since first contact. According to Federation records, humans had gone from primitive rockets to faster-than-light travel in just 50 years. Most species took thousands of years to make the same progress. Human advancement rate is 847% faster than galactic average, the computer reported. This level of development is theoretically impossible without outside assistance or prior knowledge. Veltar picked up a report from the latest incident. 3 days ago, the human ship New Horizon had defeated 3 Corvan pirate ships. The official report said it was a difficult battle where humans barely won through luck and bravery, but Veltar had studied the combat data, and something didn't make sense. "Computer, analyze the weapon signatures from the New Horizon battle." "Analysis complete," the computer said. "Human weapons show energy patterns consistent with technologies at least 500 years more advanced than current Federation standards. However, external appearance suggests much simpler construction." "That's impossible," Veltar muttered. "How can a weapon look primitive but produce advanced energy signatures?" Unless, she thought, the humans were deliberately making their weapons look older than they really were. But why would any species pretend to be weaker than they actually were on Earth? Professor Nick Barnes was dealing with his own crisis. Nick ran the fake physics department at the fake university that aliens were allowed to visit. His job was to make human science look appropriately primitive. But recently, Federation scientists had been asking harder questions. "Professor Barnes," said Dr. Kethvo, a crystalline scientist who looked like a walking diamond, "your recent paper on quantum mechanics contains some interesting ideas. Where did you get the inspiration for these theories?" Nick's latest paper had been carefully written to seem like a breakthrough by human standards, while actually containing knowledge that was basic science on Earth. But Dr. Kethvo seemed to recognize concepts that were supposed to be beyond human understanding. "Well," Nick said carefully, "we've been studying the materials your people shared with us. Sometimes when you look at a problem from a new angle, you see things differently." "Indeed," Dr. Kethvo said, his crystalline features sparkling in the light. "But some of these theories parallel work done by the most advanced species in the galaxy. It would be remarkable for humans to independently develop such similar ideas." Nick felt sweat forming on his forehead. "I guess great minds think alike, even across species." "Perhaps," Dr. Kethvo said, but his tone suggested he wasn't convinced. Would it be possible to visit your research facilities? I would like to see how humans conduct such advanced theoretical work. Of course, Nick said, though his heart was racing. But our equipment is pretty basic compared to what you're used to. You might be disappointed. I doubt that, Dr. Kethvo replied. Your species continues to surprise us with your rapid progress. After the alien scientist left, Nick immediately contacted Security Chief Dana White. Dana's job was to protect humanity's secrets by any means necessary. She commanded a team of agents who could make evidence disappear and memories fade when needed. We have a problem, Nick told her over a secure communication channel. Dr. Kethvo is getting too close to the truth. He wants to visit our real research facilities. That can't happen, Dana said firmly. I'll have Agent Carl Stone prepare a distraction. Maybe a convenient accident that damages our equipment right before his visit. But Dana knew that creating accidents and excuses was getting harder. Too many alien scientists were asking too many questions. Soon, making evidence disappear wouldn't be enough. Meanwhile, in space near Jupiter, hidden construction facilities worked around the clock building new ships for humanity's secret fleet. The facilities were invisible to alien sensors, disguised as empty space. Thousands of workers lived and worked there, creating the most advanced technology in the galaxy. Admiral Rachel Kim commanded the hidden fleet from her flagship, the Terra's Shield. The ship was 10 miles long and carried enough firepower to destroy a small moon. Around it floated 200 other warships, each one more powerful than anything the Federation had ever seen. Admiral, reported her communications officer, we're receiving encrypted messages from Earth. Agent Veltar's investigation is accelerating. She's requesting access to human personnel files and ship construction records. Rachel frowned. Can we give her fake records? We've been doing that. For months, the officer said, but she's cross-referencing everything with independent sources. She's building a complete picture of human activities, and the picture doesn't match our cover story. On the other side of the galaxy, Agent Veltar was indeed building that picture. She had compiled evidence from hundreds of sources, and the conclusion was inescapable. Humans were not the primitive species they pretended to be. Computer, show me the energy consumption analysis for Earth. Earth's energy consumption patterns suggest a population of 12 billion people with highly advanced technology, the computer reported. However, Federation census data shows only 1 billion humans using primitive energy sources. Where are the other 11 billion people? Veltar wondered aloud. Unknown. Possible explanations include hidden underground cities, off-world colonies not reported to Federation authorities, or falsified census data. Veltar stood up and walked to her window. Outside, the Vorthan capital city stretched to the horizon, its tall spires reaching toward the stars. Her people had always prided themselves on their ability to uncover truth. Now she was uncovering a truth that might change the entire galaxy. Computer, prepare a report for the Vorthan High Council. Title it, The Human Deception, Evidence of Massive Technological Superiority. Report template created. Warning. This investigation may have significant political implications. Do you wish to include a classification level? Veltar thought for a moment. If she was right, and humans were far more advanced than they claimed, why were they hiding it? Were they planning to conquer the galaxy, or was there another reason for their deception? Classify it as top secret for now, she said, and send a message to Federation intelligence. Tell them I need access to human ship designs and personnel records, all of them. Back on Earth, the message arrived at Dana White's desk within hours. She read it twice, then immediately called an emergency meeting with Admiral Sullivan and the other leaders of humanity's secret government. "They're closing in," Dana reported. "Agent Velatar has enough evidence to prove we're not what we seem. It's only a matter of time before she discovers the truth about our real capabilities." Admiral Sullivan looked around the table at the faces of humanity's hidden leaders. For 50 years, they had protected the galaxy by pretending to be weak. Now their greatest secret was in danger. "How long do we have?" Sullivan asked. "Maybe a few weeks," Dana said. "A month at most. After that, she'll have enough proof to convince the Federation Council that we've been lying to them." "And then what?" asked General Alex Rodriguez, commander of humanity's ground forces. "Then," Sullivan said quietly, "the galaxy learns that the species they thought were harmless children are actually the most powerful civilization in known space. And we'll have to deal with whatever comes after that." In her office on the Vorthon, home world, Agent Veltar continued working late into the night. She didn't know that her investigation was about to uncover the biggest secret in galactic history. She only knew that the truth was out there, and she was going to find it. Luke Taylor stood on the observation deck of Mars Colony Central, watching 3 Federation ships approach through the red sky. As colonial administrator, Luke's job was to make the colony look like a struggling settlement of poor farmers. In reality, Mars housed 12 million people in massive underground cities that stretched across the entire planet. "They're early," said his deputy, Maria Santos, checking her tablet. "The inspection team wasn't supposed to arrive for another 2 hours. Luke cursed under his breath. They needed those extra hours to prepare the final illusions. Right now, Federation Counselor Threx and his team were about to see what they thought was humanity's biggest off-world colony, but they would only see what Luke wanted them to see. "How many people are still in the surface buildings?" Luke asked. "About 300, Maria replied. "Everyone else is in the underground cities. The holographic projectors are online and ready." The holographic projectors were humanity's most carefully guarded secret on Mars. They could make 300 people look like 30,000, and they could hide entire cities by projecting images of empty desert. But the system required perfect timing and constant power to work. Technical specialist Ben Carter's voice came through Luke's communicator. "Administrator Taylor, we have a problem. Solar storm activity is increasing. If it gets much stronger, it could interfere with our holographic systems." Luke felt his stomach drop. Solar storms were unpredictable bursts of energy from the sun that could disrupt electronic equipment. If the holograms failed while the Federation team was here, they would see Mars as it really was, a thriving world with technology centuries ahead of anything else in the galaxy. "How long until the storm hits?" Luke asked. "Maybe 6 hours, Ben said. "But I can't be sure. These storms can change direction quickly." The Federation ships landed at the main colony spaceport, which was actually a tiny part of Mars's real transportation system. Luke and Maria walked out to meet their guests, passing through checkpoints where hidden scanners made sure they weren't carrying any advanced technology that might give away humanity's secrets. Counselor Threx stepped off his ship and looked around at the colony. Threx belonged to a species called the Zenthari, who looked like large insects with multiple eyes and clicking mandibles. They were considered very intelligent by Federation standards. "Administrator Taylor," Threx said in his buzzing voice, "it is good to see you again. Your colony has grown since my last visit." Luke smiled and gestured toward the buildings around them. To Threx's eyes, The colony looked like a collection of simple structures housing about 30,000 humans. In reality, sophisticated holograms were hiding massive city entrances and making the small surface population appear much larger. "We've been working hard," Luke said, "though we still have a long way to go before Mars can support a really large population." "Indeed," Threx agreed. "Your species shows admirable determination in trying to colonize such a harsh world. How many people live here now?" "About 32,000, Luke lied smoothly. "We're hoping to reach 50,000 within the next 10 years. What Threx couldn't see were the millions of people living in comfort far beneath his feet. The underground. Cities had parks, schools, factories, and research centers that would have amazed any Federation scientist. But all of that was hidden behind layers of rock, metal, and carefully projected illusions. "I would like to tour your agricultural facilities," Threx said. "The Federation is interested in learning how humans are adapting Earth crops to grow on Mars." Luke nodded and led the way to what appeared to be struggling farms at the edge of the colony. In reality, they were walking over advanced hydroponic facilities that could feed millions of people using technology that turned raw materials into any food desired. As they walked, a young girl named Grace Miller ran past them, chasing a ball that had bounced into the street. She moved with reflexes that were impossibly fast, diving and rolling to catch the ball before it hit the ground. For a human child raised in Mars's lower gravity, such movements were natural, but to alien eyes, they looked superhuman. Threx stopped, walking, and stared at Grace with all four of his compound eyes. "That child moved very quickly," he observed. "Are all human children so athletic on Mars?" Luke's heart raced, but he kept his expression calm. "The lower gravity here lets kids do things they can't do on Earth. Makes them feel like they can fly sometimes." "Interesting," Threx said, though he continued to watch Grace with obvious curiosity. Her reflexes seemed almost enhanced beyond normal human capabilities. Maria quickly stepped in. "Would you like to see our water recycling plant? We're very proud of how we've learned to extract moisture from the Martian atmosphere." The water recycling plant was another carefully designed fake. It appeared to be a struggling system that barely provided enough water for the colony's supposed population. Hidden below it were vast reservoirs and purification systems that could supply water to half the galaxy. For 3 hours, Luke guided the inspection team through carefully planned routes. They saw farms that looked like they were barely surviving, factories that seemed to produce simple goods with basic technology, and research labs that appeared to be decades behind Federation standards. But Luke's biggest worry was the solar storm that Ben Carter was tracking. Every few minutes, he checked his hidden communicator for updates. The storm was getting stronger and moving toward Mars faster than expected. "Administrator," came Ben's voice through the tiny speaker in Luke's. "Ya's storm intensity is increasing. We might lose holographic projection in the next hour." Luke had to continue the tour while quietly passing word to his staff to prepare for emergency procedures. If the holograms failed, they would have to quickly evacuate Threx and his team before they saw anything that would expose humanity's true capabilities. They were visiting the colony's main school when the first signs of trouble appeared. Grace Miller was in her classroom with 20 other children, all pretending to struggle with basic mathematics that they had actually mastered years ago. "Now, who can tell me what 7 times 8 equals?" asked the teacher, Mrs. Helen Brooks. Grace raised her hand eagerly, but as she did, the holographic projector creating fake students and empty desks flickered slightly. For just a moment, Threx might have seen that the classroom was much smaller than it appeared. Did you notice anything unusual? Threx asked his aide, a crystalline being named Sectar. The lighting seemed to fluctuate momentarily, Sectar replied. Perhaps their power systems are experiencing difficulties. Luke stepped forward quickly. We've been having some problems with our generators lately. Mars dust gets into everything, including our electrical systems. As they left the school, Ben Carter's voice came through Luke's communicator again, more urgent this time. Administrator, I need to shut down the holograms in 10 minutes to prevent permanent damage to the projectors. The storm is almost here. Luke felt panic rising in his chest. If the holograms shut down while Threx was still here, the counselor would see Mars as it really was. He would see the entrances to underground cities, the advanced transportation systems, and technology that was impossible for a primitive human colony to possess. Counselor, Luke said, trying to keep his voice steady. I'm afraid we're going to have to cut the tour short. Our weather monitoring systems are showing a dangerous solar storm approaching. For your safety, I recommend you return to your ships immediately. Threx's mandibles clicked with disappointment. But we have only seen a small portion of your colony. I was hoping to visit your industrial areas and perhaps speak with more of your colonists. I'm sorry, Luke said firmly, but solar storms on Mars can be deadly. Your ship's radiation shielding should protect you, but being on the surface during a storm could be dangerous, Maria added her support. Last year, a smaller storm killed 6 of our colonists who were caught outside. We never take chances with solar activity. Threx reluctantly agreed to leave, though Luke could see suspicion in his multiple eyes. As the Federation team boarded their ships, Ben Carter's voice came through the communicator one last time. Holograms, going offline in 60 seconds, Ben said. All non-essential personnel need to be in the underground areas immediately. Luke and Maria watched Threx's ships lift off from the spaceport. They waited until the ships were safely away from Mars, before Ben shut down the holographic systems. Instantly, the modest colony around them shimmered and changed. Where there had been simple buildings, massive structures emerged from concealment. Roads that had looked like dirt paths revealed themselves as advanced transportation systems. And, in the distance, the real Mars became visible, a thriving world with cities that could house billions of people. That was too close, Maria said, wiping sweat from her forehead. Luke nodded, but he was already thinking about the next challenge. Grace Miller's enhanced reflexes, the flickering holograms, Threx's obvious suspicions, all of it added up to a dangerous situation. Contact Admiral Sullivan on Earth, Luke ordered. Tell her that our cover on Mars is becoming harder to maintain, and tell her that Counselor Threx is asking questions we might not be able to answer much longer. As the solar storm hit Mars with waves of energy, Luke stood in the observation deck of the colony's real control center. Around him, General Alex Rodriguez stood in the command center deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, watching holographic displays that showed the entire galaxy. Red dots marked the positions of the Drakon Empire's massive war fleet as it moved toward Federation space. The Drakon were unlike any enemy the galaxy had faced before. They were actually dangerous. How many ships are we looking at? Alex asked his intelligence officer, Major Tom Phillips. Our long-range sensors count over 2,000 vessels, Tom replied. That's bigger than the entire Federation Navy, and their technology is almost as advanced as what most Federation species use, Alex nodded grimly. The Drakon Empire had been building their military in secret for decades beyond the outer rim of known space. Unlike most species in the galaxy, they had never been content to live peacefully with their neighbors. They wanted to conquer and rule, and they had the strength to do it. Time until they reached the first Federation worlds? Alex asked. 6 weeks, Tom said. Maybe less if they push their engines harder. On the other side of the galaxy, Federation military commander Korseth was dealing with his own crisis. Korseth belonged to a species called the Thaxians, who looked like upright bears with silver fur and wise eyes. He was considered one of the best military minds in Federation space, but even he knew his forces couldn't stop the Drakon invasion. Send. A message to all member species, Korseth ordered his staff. We need every ship they can spare for the defense of the core worlds, and send a special request to Earth. Ask if the humans can contribute any vessels to our fleet. Korseth hoped the humans could send maybe 20 or 30 ships to help. In his mind, that would be a significant contribution from such a young species. He had no idea that humanity could field a fleet larger than the rest of the galaxy combined. The message reached Admiral Rachel Kim aboard her flagship, the Terra's Shield, within hours. Rachel read Korseth's request and felt a familiar weight of responsibility. Humanity had protected the galaxy in secret for 50 years, always careful to make their help look accidental or minimal. Now they faced their biggest test yet. How many ships is Korseth expecting from us? Rachel asked her communications officer. His message suggests he hopes for 20 to 50 vessels, came the reply. He seems grateful that humans are willing to help at all. Rachel almost laughed, but the situation was too serious. Hidden around her flagship were over 3,000 human warships, each one more powerful than anything in the Federation Navy. If she deployed even a tenth of humanity's real fleet, the Drakon invasion would be stopped in hours, but revealing that much strength would expose humanity's secret forever. On Earth, President Janet Brooks called an emergency meeting of the Global Defense Council. The council included Admiral Sullivan, General Rodriguez, and other leaders who had spent their careers maintaining humanity's masquerade. Now they had to decide whether to break 50 years of careful deception. We can't let the Drakon destroy the Federation, Admiral Sullivan said. Too many innocent people would die. But if we reveal our true capabilities, everything changes, argued Dr. Steve Parker, Earth's chief scientist. The galaxy will know we've been lying to them for half a century. Some species might see us as a threat. General Rodriguez pulled up tactical displays showing the Drakon fleet. Look at these numbers. The Federation Navy has maybe 800 ships total. The Drakon have over 2,000, and their weapons are designed for conquest, not peacekeeping. This isn't a battle the Federation can win with conventional forces. President Brooks studied the displays carefully. Janet had been in office for only 2 years, but she understood the weight of the decision she faced. Her choice would determine not just the fate of the galaxy, but humanity's place in it. What's our best-case scenario if we help secretly? She asked. We could deploy a small force and make it look like we're punching above our weight, Admiral Sullivan said. But realistically, we'd have to hold back so much that the Federation might still lose. And worst case? The Drakon conquer half the galaxy before we can stop them without revealing ourselves, General Rodriguez said bluntly. Billions of innocent beings die while we worry about keeping our secret. Meanwhile, engineer Tina Lewis was working frantically in her hidden laboratory. Tina's job was to develop weapons that looked primitive but could still be effective against the Drakon. It was an almost impossible task. The Drakon use quantum shields, she explained to her team. To penetrate them, we need weapons based on principles that won't be discovered by other Federation species for at least 200 years. But we have to make those weapons look like something humans might build with basic technology. Her solution was ingenious and desperate. She designed weapons that appeared to be simple projectile cannons but actually fired rounds that existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously. To alien observers, they would look like primitive kinetic weapons, but they could punch through any known defense. The problem is power, Tina continued. These weapons need more energy than any Federation-level ship can produce. We'll have to use our real power systems and hope no one looks too closely at the energy signatures. Across human space, secret shipyards worked around the clock to modify vessels for the coming battle. The ships had to look like upgraded versions of humanity's known technology, while actually incorporating weapons and defenses that could challenge the Drakon. Captain Rob Taylor received orders to take his ship, the Valiant, and join the Federation Defense Fleet. Rob's ship looked like an advanced human vessel, the kind that might result from 50 years of rapid development. In reality, it carried enough firepower to destroy a small star. "Sir," said his weapons officer, Lieutenant Emma Stone, "our cover. Story is that these are experimental weapons based on technology we learned from the Federation. If anyone asks, we've been working on them in secret for the past 5 years." Rob nodded, but he wondered if anyone would believe such a story. The weapons his ship carried were so far beyond Federation technology that no amount of human ingenuity could explain them. Still, they had to try. In Federation space, the first Drakon scout ships had begun probing outer systems. The scouts were larger and more heavily armed than most Federation cruisers. When they attacked the mining station at Kepler 442, they destroyed it in minutes. Commander Corseth watched the attack through long-range sensors and felt despair growing in his heart. If the Drakon scouts were this powerful, how could the Federation possibly stop their main fleet? "Sir," said his aide, "we're receiving responses to your call for assistance. The Altarians are sending 50 ships. The Crystalline Collective can contribute 30 vessels. The Vorthans are preparing their entire fleet, about 40 ships." "And the humans?" Corseth asked. "They say they can send 12 ships immediately, with more to follow if needed. Their Admiral Kim sends regrets that they cannot contribute more. But their fleet is still quite small." Corseth nodded sadly. 12 human ships wouldn't make much difference against 2,000 Drakon vessels. But he appreciated the gesture. He had no way of knowing that those 12 ships could probably defeat the entire Drakon fleet by themselves. Back on Earth, President Brooks made her decision. "We help, but we do it carefully. Deploy a small force that looks appropriately weak for our supposed capabilities. But make sure our real fleet is ready to intervene if things go badly." "How do we explain human ships performing better than expected?" Dr. Parker asked. "We don't," Admiral Sullivan said. "We let the galaxy think we got lucky, or that human determination overcame technical limitations. We've been doing it for 50 years. But even as they made plans to maintain their deception, everyone in the room knew this time was different. The Drakon weren't pirates or rebels who could be quietly discouraged. They were a real threat that required real force to stop, and if humanity used real force, their masquerade would finally come to an end. Admiral Rachel Kim received her orders and began selecting which ships would openly join the Federation Defense Fleet. Each vessel would carry just enough hidden technology to be effective while still maintaining the illusion of human limitations. "Ma'am," said her tactical officer, "what if the Drakon are stronger than our intelligence suggests? What if 12 ships aren't enough?" Rachel looked out at her massive fleet, knowing that each ship represented the pinnacle of human achievement. "Then we make a choice between keeping our secret and saving the galaxy, and I think we all know which choice we'll make when the time comes. As the Drakon fleet drew closer to Federation space, both sides prepared for a battle that would determine the future of the galaxy. The Federation marshaled every ship they could find, not knowing they had allies more powerful than they could imagine, and humanity prepared to walk the finest line they had ever faced, helping just enough to make a difference, but not so much that their greatest secret would be revealed. The invasion would begin in 5 weeks. After that, nothing in the galaxy would ever be the same. Captain Rob Taylor stood on the bridge of the Valiant, watching the Federation Defense Fleet assemble at the staging point near Rigel Station. Around his ship, hundreds of alien vessels floated in space like a gathering of ancient warriors preparing for their final battle. But Rob knew something the other captains didn't. They were about to face an enemy they couldn't possibly defeat. "Captain," said his communications officer, "we're receiving a message from Federation Command. Commander Corseth wants all ship captains to report for a strategy meeting." Rob nodded and prepared to beam over to the Federation flagship. Before he left, he checked the hidden panels on his ship one more time. Behind false walls and disguised compartments lay weapons powerful enough to stop the entire Drakon invasion. But orders from Earth were clear: use only the minimum force necessary to maintain humanity's cover. The strategy meeting took place in the main conference room of the Federation flagship Liberator. Rob found himself sitting among the greatest military minds in the galaxy, though he knew more about warfare than all of them combined. Commander Corseth stood at the head of the table, his silver fur showing signs of stress. "The situation is grave," Corseth began. "Our scouts report that the main Drakon fleet will arrive in 3 days. They have over 2,000 ships, including battleships larger than anything in our fleet." Captain Vextal of the Altarian Navy raised one of his 4 hands. "Commander, our combined forces number only 643 ships. Even if we fight perfectly, the numbers are against us." "Which is why," Corseth said sadly, "we must face the possibility that this battle cannot be won. Our primary objective is to delay the enemy long enough for civilian populations to evacuate from the core worlds." Rob felt sick listening to this plan. These brave beings were preparing to sacrifice themselves in a hopeless battle, not knowing that help was available if humanity chose to reveal itself. He thought about the Terra's shield and her escort fleet, hidden just a few light years away, with enough firepower to end this war in hours. "What about the human ships?" asked Captain Zex-High of the Crystalline Fleet. "Their technology seems to advance very quickly. Perhaps they have new weapons that could help." All eyes turned to Rob. He felt the weight of their hope and desperation, knowing he had to lie to beings who were about to die for their freedom. "Our ships carry some experimental weapons," Rob said carefully. "We've been working on improvements based on technology shared by our Federation allies, but we're still a young species. I can't promise miracles." After the meeting, Rob returned to the Valiant feeling like a traitor. His crew could see the pain in his eyes as he gave them their orders. "We fight with minimal force," he told them. "Make it look like we're doing our best with limited capabilities. But remember, if the Federation line breaks completely, if genocide becomes imminent, we have authorization to reveal our true strength." Lieutenant Emma Stone, his weapons officer, looked troubled. "Sir, what if we could save lives by showing our real capabilities earlier? What if keeping our secret costs thousands of Federation citizens their lives?" Rob had no good answer. "Those are the orders, Lieutenant. We maintain the masquerade unless the situation becomes hopeless." On Earth, President Janet Brooks sat in the Global Defense Council chamber, watching real-time reports from the battle zone. Admiral Sullivan stood beside her, both women carrying the terrible weight of their decision. The Federation fleet is positioning for a defensive engagement, Admiral Sullivan reported. They're planning to sacrifice themselves to buy time for civilian evacuations. And our ships? 12 vessels under Captain Taylor's command. They're under strict orders to maintain cover unless the Federation faces complete annihilation. President Brooks stared at the tactical display showing the approaching Drakon fleet. Each red dot represented a ship carrying thousands of enemy soldiers. In 3 days, they would crash into the Federation defensive line like a tsunami hitting a sand. Castle. "What's the latest intelligence on Drakon intentions?" she asked. General Rodriguez stepped forward. "They're not interested in conquest through negotiation. This is a war of extermination. Every Federation world will be stripped of resources and its population enslaved or killed. So if we let the Federation lose, billions die," Rodriguez said bluntly. "And eventually they'll come for Earth too. Our location won't stay secret forever." Dr. Steve Parker, who had been quiet during the meeting, finally spoke up. "Ma'am, I've been running computer simulations. Even if we reveal our full capabilities and win this battle, the political consequences will reshape the galaxy. Some species will thank us. Others will fear us. A few might even try to attack us preemptively. But they'll be alive to make that choice," President Brooks said quietly. Meanwhile, Agent Veltar was aboard a Vorthon intelligence ship at the edge of the battle zone. Her investigation into human activities had been put on hold for the crisis, but she couldn't stop analyzing everything she observed, and what she was seeing about the human ships made no sense. "Computer, analyze the energy signatures from the human vessel Valiant," she ordered. "Analysis complete," the computer replied. "The ship shows power generation capabilities 300% higher than any known human technology. Additionally, hull composition includes materials not found in any Federation database." Veltar frowned. "How is that possible? The humans are supposed to be technologically inferior to most Federation species." "Unknown. However, these readings suggest either the humans have made revolutionary technological breakthroughs, or they possess capabilities far beyond their reported level." Before Veltar could investigate further, her ship's alarms began sounding. The Drakon fleet had arrived a full day early. Captain Rob Taylor watched his sensors as over 2,000 enemy ships dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the system. The Drakon vessels were massive, dark shapes that seemed to absorb light. Their weapons were already charging for the attack. "All Federation ships, this is Commander Korseth," came the voice over the communications channel. "Remember, we fight not just for ourselves, but for every free being in the galaxy. Make them remember this day." The Federation fleet, outnumbered 3-1, began moving toward the enemy. Rob watched hundreds of brave captains take their ships into a battle they knew they couldn't win. His own ship was positioned on the fleet's right flank, close enough to help but far enough away to retreat if necessary. "Captain," Emma Stone said from her weapons station, "the Drakon are targeting the larger Federation ships first. The Altarian battleship Honor's Light is taking heavy fire." On the main screen, Rob could see the Honor's Light surrounded by enemy fire. Its shields were failing, and secondary explosions were ripping through its hull. In minutes, the ship would be destroyed, along with its crew of 800. "Sir," Emma said urgently, "we could save that ship. One full power shot from our real weapons would destroy the 3 Drakon ships attacking it." Rob's hands gripped his command chair. Everything in his training said to help, to save those lives. But his orders were clear. Maintain the masquerade. At all costs. Negative, he said, the words tasting like poison. Fire conventional weapons only. Make it look like we're doing our best. The Valiant's apparent weapons fired streams of blue energy at the Drakon ships. The beams looked impressive, but did minimal damage to the enemy's advanced shields. Meanwhile, the Honor's light continued to die. Across the battlefield, similar scenes played out dozens of times. Federation ships fought bravely, but were systematically destroyed by superior firepower. The human ships performed slightly better than expected, but not enough to change the battle's outcome. Captain, his communications officer reported, we're receiving a personal message from Commander Corseth. He's requesting that all human ships withdraw. He says our species shouldn't be destroyed for the Federation's fight. Rob felt tears in his eyes. Even facing death, the Federation commander was trying to protect humanity. If only Corseth knew that the humans he was trying to save could end this battle in minutes. Young pilot Emma Stone watched her console show the locations of dying Federation ships and couldn't stay silent any longer. Sir, permission to speak freely? Granted. We're watching good people die to protect a secret. How many lives is our masquerade worth? At what point do we say enough? Rob looked around his bridge at the faces of his crew. They all knew they could save the Federation fleet. They all knew that every minute they waited, more innocent beings died. And they all knew that their orders required them to watch it happen. Emma, Rob said slowly, prepare a full-power torpedo spread. Target the 3 Drakon ships attacking. The Honor's light. Sir? That would expose our real capabilities. I know, Rob said. But some things are more important than secrets. If Earth Command wants to court-martial me for saving lives, so be it. But before Rob could give the order to fire, his communication system activated with an emergency message from Admiral Kim aboard the Terra's shield. All human vessels, this is Admiral Kim. You are authorized to break cover. Repeat, you are authorized to reveal your true capabilities. Earth has decided that the Federation's survival takes priority over our masquerade. Rob felt relief flood through him. You heard the Admiral. Emma, fire all. 6 months after the Drakon invasion, Ambassador Tony Walsh stood before the Galactic Council in their great assembly hall on the Federation capital world. The massive chamber was filled with representatives from over 200 species, all waiting to hear how humanity would use its newly revealed power. Tony looked out at the sea of alien faces, some curious, some fearful, some grateful. The galaxy had spent 6 months trying to understand what it meant to live alongside beings who could destroy star systems, but chose instead to protect trade routes and mediate disputes. Honored delegates, Tony began, his voice carrying clearly through the chamber's advanced acoustics. 6 months ago, humanity revealed a secret we had kept for 50 years. Today, I want to tell you why we kept that secret, and what we hope to build together, now that it's gone. He activated a holographic display that showed the galaxy as it had been 50 years ago, divided into dozens of small empires, plagued by constant warfare, with young species struggling to survive among aggressive neighbors. When humans first traveled to the stars, we found a galaxy at war with itself. Every few years, some species would try to conquer their neighbors. Pirates controlled major trade routes. Young civilizations were destroyed before they could develop. It was a dark time for everyone. The display changed to show the galaxy as it was today, peaceful, prosperous, with trade flowing freely between species that had once been enemies. We realized we had a choice. We could reveal our strength and become rulers, taking what we wanted through force. Or we could use our power secretly to create the kind of galaxy we wanted to live in, one where every species could grow and develop, in peace. Commander Korseth, now serving as the Federation's liaison to humanity, stood up to address the assembly. The human ambassador speaks the truth. Our intelligence services have spent 6 months reviewing historical records. Every major conflict that ended unexpectedly, every pirate fleet that mysteriously disappeared, every plague that was cured just in time, humanity was there, helping in secret. Dr. Kethvo of the Crystalline Collective added his voice. My people have analyzed human interventions going back 50 years. By our calculations, human actions prevented 17 major wars, stopped 43 different conquest attempts, and saved approximately 2.8 billion lives across the galaxy. A murmur ran through the assembly as delegates absorbed these numbers. Many species were learning for the first time just how much humanity had done for them while pretending to be weak newcomers. But why hide? Asked Ambassador Velnin of the Zenthari Republic. Why not reveal your strength and lead us openly? Tony had been expecting this question. Because we learned something important from Earth's history. When one group becomes too powerful, others either become dependent on them or rebel against them. We didn't want the galaxy to see humanity as masters to be obeyed or tyrants to be overthrown. We wanted to be partners. President Zextal of the Altarian Council stood up. And now, what does humanity want from us now that we know your true capabilities? The same thing we've always wanted, Tony said simply. Peace, prosperity, a galaxy where every species can reach its full potential. The only difference is that now we can work together openly instead of in secret. To demonstrate this new cooperation, Captain Jake Morrison walked onto the assembly floor. He now commanded the Sol Ascendant, humanity's new flagship that served as a mobile embassy and peacekeeping vessel. Behind him walked Dr. Lisa Grant, who had become humanity's chief scientific liaison. 6 months ago, my ship was pretending to struggle against 3 pirate vessels, Jake said to the assembly. Today, I want to show you what we can accomplish when we work together honestly. Lisa activated another holographic display that showed technical specifications for new technologies humanity was preparing to share. Medical advances that could extend the lives of most species by centuries. Energy systems that could power entire worlds without environmental damage. Transportation methods that could cross the galaxy in days instead of months. These technologies represent thousands of years of human development, Lisa explained. We're prepared to share them freely with any species that wants to use them. For peaceful purposes, not as gifts from a superior civilization, but as contributions to our shared future. The announcement sent waves of excitement through the assembly. Species that had struggled with resource shortages and technical limitations suddenly saw solutions to problems they had faced for generations. But not everyone was entirely comfortable with humanity's revelations. Agent Veltar, now serving as the Vorthan representative on galactic security matters, stood to voice the concerns many felt. Ambassador Walsh, she said, while we appreciate humanity's past protection and future generosity, many of us cannot forget that you deceived us. For the moment Captain Rob Taylor's ship revealed its true weapons, everything changed. The 3 Drakhan battleships that had been destroying the Honor's light simply vanished in brilliant flashes of light. Where there had been massive enemy vessels, only expanding clouds of debris remained. Across the Federation communication channels, stunned silence fell as alien captains tried to understand what they had just witnessed. "This is Captain Vestan of the Honor's Light," came a shaking voice over the radio. "Human vessel Valiant. What kind of weapons was that? Our sensors show energy levels that should be impossible for ships your size." Rob looked at his crew, knowing that the lie they had lived for 50 years was finally over. "Captain Vestan, we'll explain everything after the battle. Right now, we have Drakon ships to stop." But the Drakon invasion force was already reacting to this unexpected development. Their fleet commander, General Thakamore, stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching tactical displays that made no sense. "How did 12 primitive human ships just destroy 3 of our battleships?" Thakamore demanded of his tactical officer. "Unknown, General. The energy signatures from their weapons are unlike anything in our database. The power levels suggest technology centuries beyond what intelligence reports indicated." Thackmore's 4 eyes glowed with anger. "Then our intelligence was wrong. Signal all ships. Destroy the human vessels immediately. They represent the greatest threat to our invasion." 200 Drakon ships turned their weapons toward the 12 human vessels, but as they did, space around the battlefield began to shimmer and bend. New contacts appeared on every sensor screen as dozens, then hundreds of ships seemed to materialize from nothing. Admiral Rachel Kim stood on the bridge of the Terra's shield as her cloaking systems deactivated. Around her flagship, the largest space fleet in galactic history, became visible for the first time. 3,000 human warships stretched across space like a metal constellation, each one more advanced than anything the galaxy had ever seen. "This is Admiral Rachel Kim of the Human Defense Force," she broadcast on all frequencies. "Drakon, fleet, you are outgunned and outmatched. Surrender immediately or face the consequences." On the Federation flagship, Commander Korseth stared at his sensor displays in complete shock. Where moments before he had seen only 12 human ships, his screens now showed a fleet larger than anything he could have imagined. "Computer, verify sensor readings," he ordered. Sensors confirmed accurate. His ship's computer replied. "Detecting 3,247 human vessels. Combined firepower exceeds all known military forces by a factor of 23. Korseth's silver fur stood on end as the implications hit him. For 50 years, the Federation had been protecting a species they thought was primitive and vulnerable. In reality, humans had been the most powerful civilization in the galaxy all along. General Thackmore, faced with impossible odds, made the choice that defined his people's nature. "All ships, attack! We do not surrender to anyone!" The Drakon fleet opened fire with everything they had. Thousands of plasma beams and missile volleys streaked toward the human ships. It was the largest single military attack in galactic history. Admiral Kim watched the incoming fire with calm confidence. "Raise shields, return fire. Let's end this quickly." The human fleet's response was devastating and precise. Energy beams that could cut through planets lanced out from the Terra's shield and her escorts. Each shot was calculated to disable, rather, than destroy when possible, but the Drakon ships that refused to surrender simply ceased to exist. Captain Rob Taylor watched from the Valiant as the battle turned into a rout. Drakon ships that had seemed unstoppable minutes before were being systematically eliminated by human forces. Some enemy vessels tried to flee, but human ships were too fast to outrun. "Sir, Emma Stone reported from her weapons station. The Drakon fleet is down to about 400 ships. Most of the survivors are signaling surrender. Good, Rob said. Signal Admiral Kim. Tell her we recommend accepting their surrender. This was never about genocide, just stopping their invasion. On the Federation side of the battlefield, alien captains were trying to process what they were seeing. Captain HFY of the Crystalline Fleet spoke for many when he transmitted an open message. Human ships, we need to understand what we're witnessing. Your fleet appears to be larger and more advanced than anything in known space. How is this possible? It was Admiral Kim who answered, her voice carrying across the battlefield to every ship present. Captain HFY and all Federation forces, this is Admiral Rachel Kim. What you're seeing is humanity's true capability. For 50 years we have hidden our advancement to avoid frightening younger species. Today we revealed ourselves because protecting innocent lives matters more than protecting secrets. The revelation sent shockwaves through every alien ship present. Crews that had spent decades thinking of humans as charming but primitive newcomers suddenly realized they had been protected by guardians more powerful than they could have imagined. Agent Veltar, watching from her intelligence ship, felt a mixture of vindication and awe. Her investigation had been correct. Humans were far more advanced than they pretended, but the scale of their deception was beyond anything she had theorized. "Computer, record everything," she ordered. "This is the most significant intelligence discovery in galactic history. As the last Drakon ships surrendered or were destroyed, General Alex Rodriguez received reports from across human space. Hidden fleets around a dozen star systems had revealed themselves to stop other Drakon forces that had tried to attack. While the main fleet was busy with the Federation, total enemy forces eliminated or captured, he reported to President Brooks on Earth. No human casualties. Minimal Federation losses after our intervention. President Brooks felt the weight of 50 years lifting from her shoulders. And our secret? Completely exposed, Rodriguez said. Every major species in the galaxy now knows we're not what we pretended to be. The masquerade is over. In the aftermath of the battle, Admiral Kim found herself hosting the most important diplomatic meeting in galactic history. Commander Corseth and representatives from every major Federation species beamed aboard the Terra's shield to demand explanations. The meeting took place in the ship's massive conference room, which was larger and more advanced than anything on any Federation vessel. As alien delegates took their seats, they couldn't help but notice that the human flagship was a technological marvel beyond their comprehension. Admiral Kim, Commander Corseth began, his voice carefully controlled, I speak for the entire Federation. When I say we need to understand what has happened here, for 50 years we have known humans as a young species learning to survive in space. Now we discover you possess a fleet that could conquer the entire galaxy. We need to know why you hid this from us. Rachel stood at the head of the table, feeling the weight of history on her shoulders. Commander, the answer is simple. We hid our capabilities because we didn't want to frighten you. When humans first encountered the Federation, we quickly realized that our technology was far more advanced than anything else in known space. We could have demanded tribute, conquered worlds, or established ourselves as rulers. Instead, we chose to pretend to be weak so that other species could develop naturally without fear. Captain Vextal leaned forward. But why? What did humanity gain by pretending to be primitive? Peace, Rachel said simply. For 50 years, the galaxy has known relative stability. Wars have been small and short. Trade has flourished. Science has advanced. Young species have been able to develop without being crushed by more powerful neighbors. We created that stability by secretly preventing major conflicts while letting everyone think they were managing their own affairs. Dr. Kethvo of the Crystalline Collective spoke up. You're saying that every time pirates were mysteriously defeated, every time wars ended unexpectedly, every time disasters were averted, that was human intervention? Most of the time, yes, Rachel admitted. We've been the galaxy's protectors for 50 years. We just did it quietly so you wouldn't feel like children being watched by adults. Agent Veltar, who had been invited as the Federation's leading expert on human activities, finally had her answers. The statistical impossibilities I detected, the technological inconsistencies, the timing of your appearances at crisis points, it was all deliberate. Every bit of it, Rachel confirmed. We developed elaborate protocols to make our help look accidental or minimal. We built fake cities to show visitors while hiding our real civilization. We created ships that looked primitive while carrying technology that could reshape star systems, all to maintain the illusion that humanity was just another young species, finding its place in the galaxy. Commander Korseth was quiet for a long moment before speaking. Admiral, I must ask the question that troubles all of us. Now that your secret is revealed, what are your intentions? Will humanity take its place as the galaxy's ruler? Will you demand tribute or territory for the protection you've provided? Rachel smiled sadly. Commander, if we wanted to rule the galaxy, we could have done it 50 years ago. Our goal has never been conquest. It's been protection. That won't change now that you know the truth. Then what will change? Asked Captain Zexhai.